So our tamale meat has been done in the crock pot, and I have it, I'll show you a close-up of that, but I've got it over here and it's all shredded and ready to go. I've taken the corn husk, and you have to soak them for 3 hours in the hottest tap water you can get. So whatever temperature your tap water is, you're going to want to put the corn husk. I use my sink, and I push all the 2 packages. I buy 2 packages of corn husk, and I push them down in the sink, and I let them soak for 3 hours. And what you want to do is you want to make sure that your corn husks are drained really well, and you're going to want to dry them as best you can with paper towels, because your masa won't stick to the corn husk very well if they're not relatively dry. The masa will just slide right off. So we've got our corn husk ready, and now I'm going to go ahead and start making the masa. This is 9 cups. Make sure I get it in the camera. This is 9 cups of I'm using instant masa, but you could use regular masa if you want. And there's a tablespoon of kosher salt in here. And we want 3 cups of lard. And you know, Ms. Volby makes her own lard, but I buy mine already ready to go. And we're going to do 3 cups of lard to 9 cups of masa. And I don't really remember how many tamales it makes. It makes a lot. Because remember, you're going to use about 1.5 tablespoons for every tamale. So this is a long process, and it's a food made with lots of love and time. So you can't be in a hurry, and the more people you have working on it, the faster it goes. So you take your lard, and I would recommend not using Crisco. I've made them with Crisco, and I've tasted them with Crisco, and there's a big difference. So a real good flavorful tamale is made with lard. So here's our 1 cup. And I wear gloves because it gets really messy, and we're dealing with food that we're preparing to be frozen and canned and all that. I just don't want to get the food all over my hands, and you don't want to wash your hands, but I prefer to wear gloves. Keep as much as possible out of the tamale. Okay, that's our second. And most of the time this is eye ratio. So it's really not, you know, when I learned to make them, my mother-in-law showed me how to just stick my hand in the lard, the jar of lard, and pull it out a cup at a time. She didn't use a measuring cup. I'm doing that for the purposes of the video, so you understand that, you know, that's the ratios I'm using. But most of the time it's just your eyeballing. Because the real test is the consistency that comes out in the masa. And if you say, well, I'm going to cut down on the fat, I'm going to reduce the amount of lard, your masa is going to be really crumbly, and it's not going to work well for the tamale. There's not a fat-free tamale. To my knowledge, it tastes good, and there's not a low-fat one either. But as you know, masa, it's no gluten, so you're ahead of the game. So what I've done is I've heated, in this pan I've heated, this is low sodium chicken stock with cumin and some garlic powder. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to slowly add it once I get my lard and masa worked in together. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to work in all of the lard, and we're going to make sure that it's almost like you're preparing, you know, a biscuit. For those of you who've made biscuits, you're going to want your lard and your masa to be worked really well. I've made lots of tamales. They're very, very good for preppers because they're almost like a protein bar because they're full of meat. You can freeze them, you can can them, and in the refrigerator they last up to four days. So they store really well in the freezer, so you could really pile up. And I cook all of mine, but you could actually freeze them raw. So as you can see, we've got everything worked. It's not a clean job, it's very messy, which is why I said I wear gloves. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pour a little bit of the, and this has been warmed, it's about room temperature, if not hot, so when it hits this lard, the lard's going to start to melt. And you just got to watch the temperature because you don't want to burn your hands, but it's going to be relatively, warm. And the reason you only pour in a little bit at a time is because you're going to have to eyeball it. You're looking for, you don't want it too wet and you don't want it too dry. And I'm going to show you what I believe is a great consistency here in a second. So remember, 9 cups of masa. It's going to take quite a bit of liquid to, to get it down. And I'm using chicken stock to flavor the masa. You could use regular water if you didn't have chicken stock. My mother-in-law used to boil chicken bones to make hers. And I can remember, having to sieve the chicken stock for bones because she used to put the bones in there and she'd cook them all day so that they would be real flavorful. I'm just doing a little bit at a time. We don't want masa that's too wet, and we don't want it, too dry. You're going to buy a 5-pound bag of masa, and you use a little less than that. That's what this is. Sometimes the gloves aren't the most. I apologize ahead of time, this video is long, but in order to really understand how to make them, you have to really go through the process. Okay. I'm going to pour the rest of my chicken stock. And here I've got still a lot of dry masa in the bottom of this bowl. And I'm going to work it, the best I can in here. And if it's, still not enough, I've got extra chicken stock. So, which, let me grab that. You can make your masa the night before and put it in the refrigerator, but you're going to need to let it get to room temperature before you start working with it. Otherwise, it's not going to spread very well. You can't really overwork it either. So it's not a bread dough. What you're just really wanting to do is get every single bit of masa incorporated in your chicken stock. This is at least 2 to 3 hours worth of making tamales. And I only do them once a year because they do take a long time. And to test, I'm just going to test one and just see if you can test them and they come out like that. You're getting there. You're almost there. So, wet towel as I'm working on this, while I'm working and making the tamales, I keep a wet towel on top of this because you don't want this to dry out. You'll have to start over. So you really want a peanut butter consistency, or that's what I was taught. You want it to be peanut butter. That's the consistency you want. It won't necessarily be sticky because you've got a lot of fat in here, but it's going to be, you want it to where when you grab it like that, it doesn't stick. You could even make a ball out of it. So you want it to where you're, it doesn't stick. That's what spreads good on a corn base. Okay, let's get started. I'm gonna make this a part 1, part 2 video, and I'll put making the tamales in a part 2. So, okay, we'll be back. Tamale meat, or the pork roast that I have shredded, and it's ready to go into the tamales. So the done ones you can put in that right there. Awesome. And then I'm going to need the corn husk close to me. Okay. So to make the tamale, you lay there's two sides to a corn husk. There's the rough side and there's the smooth side. And you're really going to have to, feel it, and you're going to have to look at it. You're going to want your masa on the roughest side because it's going to grab the masa when you spread it. And I have a little trick. I use a masa spreader, and I know this is not traditional. I bought this off of a Mexican store website. If you're interested in it, just let me know, and I will send you the link to the website to buy it. It was probably $12 or $13 to purchase it, and it takes some maneuvering to really learn how to use it well, but it's got these little grooves on each side that helps guide the masa through the corn husk, and it works really, really well. So you're going to want to make sure that your rough side is the side that you do that you put your masa on. So what you do is right here so they can see. I'm going to take some of the masa on the scoop like this, and I'm going to put it onto the corn husk just like that. Just a little pad, and then I'm going to take the paddle and I'm going to press at a 90 degree and spread down. So I'm holding my corn husk and I'm spreading it down. You don't want too thick and you don't want too thin. And what's great about this little gadget is it does a perfect job, the same consistency every single time. So then you take your meat, and you only need like a little bit of meat like this, and you're just gonna fill it like you would a taco. You're gonna put it like a taco, like that. You wanna make sure your meat comes all the way to as close to the end as you can get it without, it falling out. You're gonna close it like a taco. You're gonna take the corn husk and you're gonna fold it again over on the side, press, and flip your tail down. That is a tamale. So we have one, our very first one. I'll do one more to show you. This is a fairly large corn husk, but if I cut it in half, it would be too small. So you want to make sure that you're not ripping them in half, and then your corn husk is too small. Too big is just as good. So we're going to grab some of the masa. We're going to lay it on the corn husk, and I'm at a 90-degree angle. I'm just going to spread down just like that. It's not thick enough, so I'm going to grab a little more. You're just going to have to eyeball. Make sure. And don't worry about getting on the edges over here. You want to make sure what you're getting is going to be on the inside. Not too thick. And you don't want your masa too thick on the ends either. But this is what happens when you have a big one like this. The what do you call the crevice right there is not getting the masa. And also, if you, for any reason, you're worried about which side is which, if your masa is not sticking, flip it over and wipe this down, flip it over, and start on the other side till it sticks, because you want the stick side. So we fold, and fold. It's a pretty big one. Okay, we're going to be making tamales for a while, and we'll be back and I'll show you how I steam them up. Can you hit the red button? Okay, we've got really a bowl or two full bowls. If I moved some of these over to here, I've got 2 full bowls of tamales, and we're going to start steaming them and cooking them up and then freezing them. Or you can tamales if you want to. I don't recommend that you cook them first if you're going to can them. I recommend that you put them in the jars. You probably only fit maybe 4 to a jar, and you're going to have to fill it full of chicken stock, or you can can them in your chili sauce. If you make a tamale chili sauce, you can can them that way. These are going to be sold or eaten this year. Probably won't be doing a lot of canning of them. So I'm going to take you over to the steamer where I've already got some steaming, and let's see how they're turning out. The steamer has stopped. I have a 2-level steamer. This is really a fish steamer you can buy. I think this is it's a Rival. You can buy this at any Walmart. I paid like $19 for it. And we steam vegetables in these, and fish. You can put your fish at the top or the bottom and put your vegetables on top, broccoli, whatever. So this is just a steamer that I have. It has a 1-hour timer on it, which is really nice when you're doing tamales. The little light down here, I think I broke, but it still comes on. But I've had this for many years, and I steam tamales in them. It takes way longer, but you don't have the water in the tamale like you would if you stacked them in a regular stock pot. So I'm gonna go ahead and undo one of the tamales. The camera back here so you can see. Can you hit that light over there? It's always so dark in here. It's hard for people to see.
Hit the light?
Yeah, well, the light in there. There you go. Okay, so we're gonna take our tamale out of the corn husk. See if the girl that did all my rolling did a good job. I don't know. They should really just fall out of the corn husk. And really depending, sometimes you have really good ones and sometimes they just, fall out. And then you discard this in the trash. You can't reuse them. Okay. And the masa's good. All right, you want to taste them? Got a good ratio of meat. I'm going to try to open another one. Are they good? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Needs queso.
Yeah, it needs queso. I put queso and salsa on mine. My husband likes them with the red chili sauce, but the tamales came out pretty good. So I hope you'll try this recipe and give us a thumbs up and click to subscribe our channel for more recipes. And I'm wishing all of my viewers and those you share the video with a Merry Christmas. And this is part of a tradition that I would like to keep going within my family, and documenting it and putting it on a video will be one step towards making sure that happens. So join us next time, and you can visit our blog at potspansandpioneers.com. And everybody have a blessed day.